Welcome to episode 4 of the Big Joe Show. Today we tackle an increasingly important topic, cybersecurity. With the rise of digital engagements, understanding how to protect our online presence is more crucial than ever. On tonight's show, we'll be looking at the general aspects of what cybersecurity is, dispelling some myths, how we can do simple things to protect ourselves, and how these simple foundations will massively help and are required once you transition, or whether you're already involved in live streaming and digital engagements, part of the OneStream LIVE Education package. I'll be joined tonight by a cybersecurity expert here in Ireland, the great Patrick Kinsella from Gorey IT Solutions will be joining me. So keep it here for the next 30 minutes of informative updates, thoughts and ideas, because it's Tuesday, and courtesy of OneStream Live, it's the Big Joe Show. And there we are. Welcome to the Big Joe Show. And as we all know, there's no show like a Big Joe Show. So on with the show, let's dive straight into some general cybersecurity tips and dispel those myths along the way. Joining me, as I said, is cybersecurity expert and owner at Gorey IT Solutions here in County Wexford, Ireland. Please welcome Patrick Kinsella. Patrick, how are we, sir?
I'm good, Joe. Thanks for having me.
No, listen, no problem. You've been a big help to me. I tell people, first came across Patrick when I was having a problem with some memory stuff, and then I just started to soak up and learn so much about cybersecurity and the importance of it. So we're going to run through some of those things this evening. So let's start us off, Pat. Cybersecurity. It sounds very, but explain to us in simple terms, what is it, or what do we mean when we talk about cybersecurity?
Yeah. So there's the technical version, and then there's the simplified version. Technical version is any device connected to the internet needs to be secure so your information can't be stolen off it or breached. That's the techie version. Realistically, it's habits and practices to follow to protect and secure your stuff yourself. So it's not like, oh, I have the latest and greatest top-notch security system. It's great to have, but it's how you use it and the habits you get into. It's like having a door on a house. What's the point of having the door there if you leave it wide open every day? It's the habits. You need to close the door every day and make sure it's locked. That's what cybersecurity is. It's developing good habits when you're on computers, when you're connected to the internet, when you're on your phone. So it's all about forming those habits.
Yeah, no, I understand that completely. So I suppose many people who are non-techies or thickos are just really scared of the whole thing. I mean, we're not even getting to AI tonight. We're talking about the basic foundations as part of building what you need to have for live streaming. But this is just general stuff that will help people anyway in their life. I suppose, Patrick, that many people would believe that antivirus software is enough, and is that a misconception? I mean, I suppose whilst it's important, it's just one part of a comprehensive security strategy. What's a simplified view over what you should do and what you should have?
Yeah, so antivirus is needed, and it's not needed depending on situations. Every computer comes with built-in antivirus software. So if you're on Windows, you have Windows Defender. For the average user who's just going online every day, shopping, looking up, watching movies, things like that, playing games, that's more than enough. If you're businesses or big companies, things like that, you need higher-end antivirus security, which is basically ones that you can control and configure for your business, what way you need it to work. Okay, so if you're in live streaming, you want to control all different systems trying to connect to your computer, which would slow down your internet speed. That is part of antivirus, even though most people won't think it is. Content filtering, another thing which is antivirus. It's not just about stopping viruses getting into your computer and taking control of your computer. It's about seeing if there's anything on your computer using resources it shouldn't be using. So, wasting resources. It's about speeding up your computer. It's about monitoring content on it. So, for like child safety, you'd have a content filter on it. That is part of antivirus, even though you can get them separate. It kind of is antivirus at the same time. It's just a program that does gives you all these options, and you choose which one you want and how aggressive or mild you want those settings turned on, depending on your situation.
I think it's like when the first thing you would say to most people is that you don't necessarily need antivirus, and yet the antivirus companies sell that it's a constant thing. But you taught me something really, really interesting about there's only so many antivirus companies, isn't there? And they're all sort of interconnected, and so it's all a bit of a sort of sales myth. Is that correct?
Yeah, a lot of them are owned by other antivirus companies, or they're bought out by them as time goes on. It's kind of like with glasses. There's only really 3 companies in the world that make glasses. All the other companies and names you see are owned or are subsidiaries of those 3 companies. Similar thing with, it's kind of the same pretty much every industry. Like you look at food and you trace back, you'll find the store brand you buy every day is actually owned by a big conglomerate in some other country. Eventually, once you go 10 companies away, you'll find it. It's like the 7 degrees of separation game. Everything is connected in some way. And then from my point of view, it's my job then to see how far it goes back. Like a new antivirus software company pops up. Okay, is it a brand new one or is it owned by one? What's their reputation like? And that's kind of the problem there, where the average user doesn't realize that. They'll see ads for this one on all the time, or sponsorships on YouTube channels and things like that, and think, oh, it's great. Then to find out a few months later, oh, this company has done something not necessarily bad, but maybe like not the right way in the past. And then it's, oh, do I need to switch to another one? What's going to happen? The average person doesn't look into that all the time. They think, oh, this person's using it, it's safe, I'll trust them. When it's, you need to do a bit of research yourself. It's just like buying a new car. You don't just walk in, pick the first car you see. It's test drive that car. You go to the dealership down the road, test drive that car, see what they say about each, and then come up with a conclusion yourself first, which one you want.
And of course, people can contact you as well, because although you're based at Gorey here in County Wexford, they can contact you, and you can do like we did initially, online stuff. And I want you to talk about, and we'll give your details later, buddy, because I think just having that, what I would call a discovery call and understanding more, that leads me on to the myths. Even as an experienced live streamer, a former global head of information and knowledge management for a big UK forces business unit, there was still, because I never did the master's course, there was still so many things that actually you don't know what myth or fact. So myths, what myths over the years have you encountered? Dispel some of them.
Well, I think the most common two are, can your ISP see every website you go on and what you're actually doing on the website? A lot of people get freaked out all the time when they hear, oh, your ISP knows when you're on Facebook. It's like, oh, can they see what I'm doing on Facebook as well? They know what pictures I've uploaded. No, they just know the site you're going on to, because it's their job to connect you from your computer to their site, just like the old operators used to do on telephone. You'd ring up, hello, I'd like to connect to this person. That's what your ISP does. They're the connection between the two. So they need to know what site you're going to, but they don't know what information you're doing, as long as you're on a secure connection, which is like HTTPS or the little green padlock. Once that's there, they don't know what you're doing and they can't really spy on you. The other big misconception, which I used to see a lot when I was in class teaching children and kids in school, was privacy mode and incognito mode. They think that blocks you and hides you from everything everywhere, that no one can track you, no one knows what you're doing. When all that does is it doesn't keep track of the history of the site you go onto. So they get really freaked out then, because it's still stored on your router at home, so your parents could check it. It's still, the ISP knows where you are. All it does is delete the list of the sites you're on automatically, instead of you having to be able to manually delete that, oh, you're on this site this time of the day and this site at that time of the day. They're the two big ones that people believe and get freaked out with when they misunderstand it. Because it's not really that. There is some truth to it, but they don't understand the full scope of what it is.
Do you think it's very off-putting for people, especially as AI is growing now, and we just think that no matter, we've all been there. Even this morning, myself and Jill were talking about something, and next minute I get an advert. Oh, and so all of these things, it just, and we've all got Alexas in our house and this and that and the other. So
yeah, everything is listening, everything is spying.
That's the perception.
There is some truth to it. Like, it happened to me the other day. I was watching a video. I can't remember what it was. I was saying to someone yesterday, I can't remember what the video was. It was on TikTok. And then later on that day, a video of the same thing came up on YouTube. And my TikTok account and YouTube account are not even the same email address. So it's not like they're sharing them over. The only difference is I was watching them both on my phone. So somehow, some way there, one linked to the other. So was Apple listening to me? Was TikTok spying on me through Apple, or is YouTube spying on me? We as users don't know, because they all say they're not, but we don't know if they are or not. That's why when you're on the internet or you're connected to anything, it always comes down to the trust model. Do you trust this site? Is it safe? Does it look a bit weird? If it does, maybe don't use the site. Definitely don't put in your card details on it. Things like that. It's the same with your phones. Like, turn off your phone. If you feel it might be spying on you, turn off your phone if you're having private conversations. Leave it in another room. Same with your Amazon Echoes and your Google Hubs. Don't have conversations in front of them.
It's getting we're almost getting into the Clockwork Orange thought police type thing. It's quite, you can understand why it's quite scary for people. But let's get into very simpler terms for most people, Patrick. So, excuse me, emails, passwords, and even your website. The number of times I go to a website now and it flashes up the little warning triangle on the URL box at the top.
Yeah,
what does that
secure.
Yeah, what does that mean for people? That it's the accreditation isn't there, or what's that all that about?
Yeah, so basically there's two ways to connect to the internet. There's websites. There's secure and there's unsecure. That's why you'll see the little HTTP and the HTTPS. The S means the secure one, and that's where it's the green locked padlock. If it's unsecure, you'll sometimes have the red padlock, or it's unlocked. What that means is the unsecure connection, it's possible that someone could tap in and eavesdrop on what you're doing. Whereas the secure one, it's an encrypted connection, so no one should be able to. The way websites do that is with things called SSL certificates. And basically there's companies out there who create these certificates and attach them to the websites to say, this is a genuine website and it's trustable to a point. Anyone can get those certificates, but it's just, if someone creates a website quickly to do something, nefarious, they're not going to spend the time or the money setting one of those up. It's getting easier for them to do it now, so they can automate it, but it used to be the case that they wouldn't go through that trouble. So if you come onto a site and it doesn't have a HTTPS version, stay away from it. That's why most browsers nowadays always try and automatically switch you to the secure version of a site if it's available. So if you get that pop-up, then it usually means there's never a certificate on it, or the certificate has expired. Those certificates usually only last a year and you have to do them. I was only doing that earlier today for a client. So when you renew that, if you haven't got it in time, that pop-up will appear just to warn you, hey, it might, something wrong here, there might not be, proceed at your own risk, basically. So that's what those little things are there. You want to, all the time, get to the secure one if possible. Some websites don't need that necessarily because they're not logging information. Just, you're reading something quickly and you're gone off the site. They don't bother spending money on that or time. But I always recommend, especially my clients, get the HTTPS site. Even when you're setting up sites, like you usually get a free year with it anyway. So put it on and just set it for auto renew and keep it going.
Absolutely. And website passwords. Passwords is a great one, isn't it? Because there's a number of password managers out there. How do they work, and are they useful?
Yeah, super useful, and you need them more and more so nowadays, because you hear the old adage from people like, never use the same password for different websites, and never make it a complex password basis. So that means, like, don't use your personal information. Don't use simple passwords like password 1234, any part of your name, your pet's name, things like that. So the problem there is, well, if I'm on 20 or 30 different websites and they all have super long, random, weird passwords, how am I supposed to remember all that? So people don't bother going with those long, secure passwords. To go with simple, easy ones. And then one, the accounts get hacked. So what happens then is that password is now on the internet. Hackers will find that and they'll then log into all your other accounts to do things. So your Facebook gets compromised, that then the same password, your email. Once your email is compromised, they've access to all your other accounts. Password managers make it easier by, you store a password in there, the name of the site, the URL to the site, and you can even put extensions on browsers now. So when you go to the site, it goes sign in, click autofill, and it'll autofill the password. So you don't even need to know the password, type it in yourself. I have hundreds of passwords for work and even personal, and all I know is what the password is for my password manager. I don't have a clue what the others are. They're 20, 30, 40 characters long with symbols, capital letters, numbers all over the place. To just type that in would take me like a minute to type out each letter and make sure they're correct. So I just use password manager, click autofill, and it logs me in automatically. It's to make it more secure and easier. The biggest problem with the internet is if it's not easy, people don't do it. So if the security is hard to do or takes time, they just ignore it and walk right in the door and leave the door wide open.
Yeah. It's a scary world, but you make it less scary with some simple things to do.
Those habits.
Yeah, it's one of those things, mate, where passwords especially, I think it is a nightmare for people. People working on business phones, stuff like that, shouldn't really be sending their emails from work through that, and they do. Everybody still does it. It was when I was the global head role, it was a nightmare. One of the deputy commanders was constantly sending. I was telling them, like, stop, send forward your stuff to a private. It happens all the time, and it's still happening.
Yeah.
But I think having that password, man. One thing people will say, though, which is why I want you to cover this next bit, is, okay, if you've got one password manager, and what happens if that goes a bit P-tongue and you've lost everything? Is there a way that you can business resilience, whether you're an individual or a business or an organization, so across them, how do we build in a little bit of resilience to that? Because I love the idea of the password managers, it's great, but how do we build resilience?
Yeah, so with the password manager itself, you can back up and download all the information on that to a file and store it somewhere securely. So if that company goes bust in the morning, you find out there's an issue with them, delete that account, go to a different provider and upload that file, and all the passwords and stuff are still there. So you can get copies of it like that. Same thing then with the website. With those, once the passwords are in the password manager, I do recommend to certain clients, print out that list of stuff, put it in a secure file and put it into like a safe somewhere there. So if something goes wrong, you still have the backup there of it. And then the other thing is always use 2FA where possible for every account, especially your password manager. And with the password managers nowadays, you can even store the 2FA code in there to make it simpler again, because people get annoyed that, oh, go into the password manager, get the username and password, then I have to take out my phone and get the 2FA and type that in. It's a pain. I'm not going to bother using 2FA. Password managers nowadays, they have that built in. Some people say that's less secure because you're putting all your eggs in one basket. You could have two password managers, one for the password, one for the 2FA, and you could have an extension for the two of them to split them. It's up to you how it comes down to, like, how much effort you want to put in every time. Do you want to just have them all in one place so it's easier and you have a good level of security? You want to have the separate and it takes you like an extra 30 seconds every time you need to log into a system? It comes down to how far you want to go. And if it's a business, it comes down to how far the business has decided what way they want those rules.
Brilliant. 2FA, just explain that in simple terms to people.
So 2FA means two-factor authentication, or it's sometimes called MFA, multi-factor authentication, because it can be more than just two. Typically, when you log into a website, it asks you for a password, and that's it, you're in. Well, if your password gets compromised, anyone can get in. 2FA is basically like a second password, which even if they get access to your first password, they don't necessarily have the second one. And with most 2FA systems, it changes every 30 or 60 seconds. So it's a code, like a 6-digit code that's constantly changing. And if somebody even sees what the one is you have right now in 30 to 60 seconds, it's gone. There are multiple ways of doing it. You can have the code, you can have an email sent to you with the code, you can have a text message or a phone call sent to you with the codes. I'd highly advise not using the phone call or the SMS code. They're the most easily compromised. You'd be surprised how quick and easy it is for someone to spoof or steal a phone number. So always use the email if you have to, but get a 2FA authenticator and use that one. It's the most secure one. You can even get physical keys which have those codes built in. So you plug it into your computer as a USB, push a button, it sends that code, you know, unplug it, put back in your pocket. So you have the only physical code card of that in your pocket, so it can't be hacked online. Whereas with the others, you're worried, oh, well, what if my password manager company will access the information? That information is encrypted in the first place. So even if it does get hacked, they shouldn't be able to get access to information. But depending on what level of security you want, you can just go for the physical key. I have one of those I use as well. So when I need to put in the 2FA for my manager, because it can have a 2FA code as well, it's the physical key, which I have. No one else can technically get into that. There are ways around it, but they're very high level things to do. The average person shouldn't come across them.
Brilliant. I think it's very important. I've got the 2FA authenticator on my phone, and there are times, I admit, when I'm doing something and it's like, bloody hell, well, I need to authenticate now. But I'm reassured. Yeah. I'm reassured that every 60 seconds it changes. So
and you can put those as extension on your browser to make it quicker and easier, so you don't have to pull the phone in your pocket when you're on the computer. Or if you are using it on your phone, and you can actually just hold down the code, it'll copy, and then you go back into the other thing and paste, so you don't have to type it in. There's those little things to make it easier for you to use, which makes you more likely to use it.
Yeah, absolutely, massive. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to tonight's show, episode 4 of our 8-part series through OneStream Live, and this is the Big Joe Show. And tonight we're talking with the great Patrick Kinsella, who runs Gorey IT Solutions and is a cybersecurity expert. Stay here. We've got lots more to come about live streaming. It's all here on the Big Joe Show. And welcome back. And as we know, there's no show like a Big Joe Show. Oh, I just love that expression. I know, cheesy as anything, but it works for me. So what has cybersecurity and live streaming got in common? Well, this is part of the series where OneStream Live want us to educate people more, because going into live streaming, as we know, it's a massive jump for some companies. It is the future. It's not, in fact, it's not even the future. It's the now. If you're not live streaming, you're just not from a reach and engagement, elevating your brand, building a thriving, engaged community. So the whole aspect of cybersecurity is putting some basic systems and foundations in place first for your business, whether you're an individual, solopreneur, business organization, so that when you transition to live streaming, or if you're on it already and not doing some of the, if you're a live streamer and not doing some of the simple things that Patrick has shared with us tonight, and you really need to be speaking to Patrick, and he does online virtual business consultations, sorry is the word I was looking for, as well. So it doesn't matter where you are on the globe. Like live streaming, that's one of the reasons why we work with Patrick as a joint venture partner, because he has helped me in everything I'm doing, including looking at the dark web, taking my email addresses and putting them into the dark web and seeing what came up out of them. So live streaming presents unique, I think, cybersecurity challenges. Some people, it's like, well, we know what Facebook are like, we know what Google are like, we just talked before about, is everybody listening to us? There's, excuse me, I suppose if people are using live streaming, a lot of people will be worried about transitioning across because of hacking attempts, data breaches, content piracy. And those vulnerabilities can disrupt your events and erode trust in your business, if not, and you, because it's about you as your business, if not probably secured. Now, given these risks, there are specific things that we can put into place. And this is what OneStream Live do. We've taken enormous steps to protect their software, their servers, links to third-party platforms, and encrypted streams, user authentication, etc., etc. I mean, look, the reality is when you're dealing with third-party apps like social media platforms, there's always a danger. Look at Meta, Facebook, excuse me, not just singling them out, by the way. However, they've caused me more grief in my 7 years as a live streamer and a content creator than I've cared to think from. I've lost 2 of our rugby pages over the years. One eventually returned, excuse me, within the same 8 weeks of losing a page that we built up. And that's where we went live to. I was just stopped from streaming. It just wouldn't connect. It just said that you're not allowed to stream. couldn't get hold of anybody at Facebook, Meta, blah, 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 all the usual stuff. Not the only person it's happened to. It has happened to an awful lot of people. So, excuse me, what do you do? You know, I had to then set up a new personal profile. I had to then set up new pages, and then things come back. And actually, since Livestream Solutions, Livestream Academy has been going just 14 months now, I had to bring somebody in a couple of weeks ago, a private Facebook specialist, to close down a whole pile of stuff because there was nothing connected. Different profiles, different pages and things were connected. And that itself, how many times are people hacked? You wonder what Meta and Facebook actually focus on. You know, and security should be the paramount, and it clearly isn't. So it's all of those things. So what, Shep? Well, that leads you onto the fact of going live to your own website, not only from business, but now from a security perspective, is the ultimate why. Why? Because you are controlling what the viewer, the client, the prospective customer sees. So 100% of the content, 100% of the time is seen if you go live to your website. OneStream Live does that. It gives you a single show or a permanent embed key. You give that key to your web person and they put that on. So, and it looks all very, very pretty. And then when you go live, it goes live on your site. So you can drive people away from social media to your site where you're controlling 100% of the content 100% of the time. So from a business and a security perspective, OneStream Live have given us those capabilities which overlap each other massively: business, reach, engagement, security. If you don't have a website, by the way, OneStream Live do this. This is called a hosted live page. So if you don't have a website, we create a website with you. This is just a mock-up. We did, obviously I don't need to use it because we go live on our own website, but this is a mock-up that we did in colors. And that little TV bit there where it says, like, you know, Livestreamers as a service, that's where you go live. You can see the social media buttons at the bottom, live chat system. You can have different variations of that, different, what's what I'm looking for, different designs, different colors, different branding, a little bit about you, contact details. So they provide a hosted, excuse me, live page. So those two things are bespoke to OneStream Live. And this is where it overlaps on your safety online, your security, the top tips that Patrick has kindly given us, what OneStream Live are doing. So hosted landing page, if you don't have a branded page with your own URL that you could put onto your Facebook, whatever, you're driving people to you. That's what it's more about. So OneStream Live take the security and cybersecurity not incredibly important, and the CTO Shahzad Hussain and the COO and the CEO, they are engineers first and foremost. They're friends, engineers, as we know, and entrepreneurs, but they understand the two sides, which is why it all overlaps and builds and builds and builds. So you've got a website, we can put an embed code on, a permanent embed code on, so when you go live, it goes live, more secure, encrypted streams, all of that type of stuff, or a hosted live page. Again, more security given to you by OneStream Live. Again, like I say, having somebody who's lost pages and not being able to stream, putting your eggs in one basket of social media is not the way to go. So this overlaps and dovetails in very well, which is why we wanted to share this in episode form. We're grateful for Patrick to come in on tonight. There's absolutely no understanding of the rationale on social media. So take control of what you're doing and be reassured, I think, in from a business perspective and from a security perspective of what OneStream Live are doing. And again, if you want to find out more, time for a quick plug, because we have started the Big Joe Show, the bottom running through there for the next 8 weeks, up until the end of March. It is until the end of this 8-week series of the Big Joe Show. If you use the code BJS10, you get 10% off all of the plans. So if you want to go on and have a look at that, please do so. Contact us, get in touch, and we'll arrange a discovery call with you, and so will the team, and take you through each of those steps that you want to do. Again, if you're somebody who's already involved, or wants to get in touch with somebody like Patrick, then I'll send you the details through. We will put that up on the site, all his contact details, and he does remote working and consultation with people. And let me tell you, somebody who you never know what you don't know what you don't know. And I thought I knew enough until I spoke to him. He's not in there because he, like I said, he came to me to fix a bit of memory thing on my computer, and then we started chatting, and it was just, I need to get you in front of people, and it's just brilliant. So it's a bit like information management, building your file structure in OneDrive, or for me, Google Drives, so you keep all of your data, all of your content in one place that's, more secure rather than everywhere. Boring and unsexy it is to many. Critical from a business perspective, because once you lose something or you're hacked or whatever, that's when you think, I really, really need this. So let's get you in touch with Patrick and with ourselves, and we'll get you sorted across our area. Right, Patrick, let's finish off very, very quickly. We've got a couple of key questions that I want you to... we've covered the strong password bit. How do you very quickly recognize and protect from phishing attacks in emails or on social media platforms? How's that easy to do?
Yeah, so again, it comes down to habits. You need to look at the emails before you click them. So if you get an email from someone, look at the subject line first. See, does it make sense to you? Is there any spelling mistakes in it? That can be a typical one from AIs. They'll make mistakes in that. Look at the name of the person. Do you know that person? Were you expecting an email from them? If you are, it's probably okay. If not, be careful. Check those things, click the email, and then read through it slowly. Don't click any links in the email, and read through it first a few times just to double check. Does it look legitimate? If it does, proceed. If not, maybe email that person in a new email message instead of replying to that one. So there's also ones where clicking the email itself can send out issues, but in general, it's take the time first. Be vigilant every time you see an email, even if it comes in from someone hang on, why are they sending me an email about that? That subject looks a bit strange. Call them up. They're the main things, and it comes down to habit. Like, I have clients there where we teach all their employees about this, but we still have to do tests every so often to see if someone falls for it. We'll send out an actual phishing email to them and then see who clicks the link. If one or two clicks the link, we'll just talk to them individually, retrain them. If everyone is still doing it, a full team retrain again and repeat that a couple of times a year, every year. It's all about developing the habits. Checking, thinking first, checking, does this seem legitimate? Does it not? If it doesn't, ignore it and then wait till them contact you again. Oh, it was legitimate. My mistake. Better safe than sorry.
Brilliant. And to finish off, I've just put your details on there, GoreyIT.com, to get hold of Patrick to engage him and everything. And it will be one of the best things that you have ever done. Finish off for me very quickly. Summarize a couple of top tips and what your feelings are about how people can be less worried about what they're doing. Sum up today for us.
So it's basically research it yourself. So look up things yourself. Check out different channels. There's loads of YouTube channels out there. There's loads of blogs out there. Read them to get more informed yourself, and then apply that to your life in general. So again, build those habits. You need to educate yourself on some of the things. You don't have to go super, super in depth. Just research and educate yourself on the key points, which most sites will point out straight away in the first few lines or first bullet points on it, and then develop habits. Do those things every time you start. Once you turn on the computer, start those habits. Once you turn off your computer, then go back to your normal life, turn it on again, back to those habits. It all comes down to habits and trust when you're on the internet.
Absolutely. There we go. Patrick Kinsella, owner of Gorey IT Solutions and cybersecurity expert. Thanks for your time today, mate. It was a real pleasure. We'll be in touch soon, and look after yourself.
Thanks for having me, Joe. Bye.
There we go. So many thanks to Patrick there on the show. Slightly running over to tonight. Our next Tuesday's show, it's part 5, and we're looking at success stories and how local businesses are thriving with live streaming. Until then, thanks to Patrick Kinsella from Gorey IT Solutions, to OneStream Live, and to yourselves for joining us. Until next Tuesday at 8 p.m. UK and Ireland, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, stay safe online and offline. And remember, there's no show like a Big Joe show.